After some research, it sounds like they found most ADS is bio, but there's definitely a social mechanism. ADS? Autism derangement syndrome? ASD? Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. I don't want this to happen again. No, we don't have to. We don't have to. It is crazy how limited people's thinking is on the subject, though. It is very frustrating. They've already identified like 200 individual factors that are prenatal, right? Jesus fucking Christ. You do okay. Before you make any future claims about nature versus nurture, I want you to ask yourself if they could find the exact same thing about poverty. Do you think they could find prenatal traits that correspond to poverty? Like if they really studied for them? Absolutely they could. Either in a deterministic sense or in a correlative sense. Like, for example, you can determine the race of a baby when they're in vitro. Them being, well, I assume, I don't actually know that, I'm just guessing. Let's just assume you can. It's a genetic marker. You know, a person being black doesn't mean they're deterministically guaranteed to be poor, but it does mean, you know, at least in the good old US of A in 2025, they're more likely to be poor. You guys need to fucking use your brains, okay? Would that mean that poverty isn't like it's deterministic genetically? No. Who fucking cares? Clearly you do, Max 5 Lotus. You were arguing about it for quite a while. Shut up. Poverty is determined genetically because your poor parents give you the genes. Dude, how many people in chat do you think would be one-shotted by Murray's The Bell Curve? Because he is arguing that IQ is heritable, and by heritability, what he means is that the IQ of your parents has a heavy influence on your IQ, not that genes make up a significant portion. Like he relies on a conventional misunderstanding of what heritability means to carry the weight of arguing that IQ is like deterministic at birth. I had a professor in college that told us your IQ basically caps at the average of your parents' IQ. How the fuck does that make sense? Then wouldn't everyone just get stupider with every generation? You know, scientifically illiterate motherfuckers in chat being like, did you know there are genetic pre-markers for cancer? Did you know that, like, because women are more likely to have breast cancer if it turns out their moms had breast cancer too? So basically, like, yeah, environment doesn't affect cancer, dumbass. I'm gonna go back to using the microwave with the door open. Stupid piece of shit. How to use the microwave with the door open? It's pretty easy. There's just a little tab you have to press. Don't do it. Did you know having boobs increases your chance of boob cancer? It is really weird. I guess it's not weird. It's just, I guess it's weirdly logical that trans women on estrogen have a much lower chance of getting prostate cancer and a much higher chance of getting breast cancer. It's just, it's weird that like the body has stat points that you respec and allocate into, and you're literally like dumping your change into the, like yeah, you know, I'm gonna min-max for this actually, cancer respec, you know? Hormones control so much shit in your body. Yeah, they really do. It's crazy. So it's weird how modular everything is, you know? Especially since, like, you know, people argue that you can change your gender and not your sex, but it's like, what do you think you're doing when you take hormones? Like, what do you think sex is? Apart from a thing you're not having that you hear other people having. Like, they think it's chromosomes? Yeah, and like to a large extent it is, but like why are chromosomes important? Because chromosomes tell your body what hormones to flood you with, right? Like the XXXY, you know, that the gametes, they're telling your, you know, they're directing the production and distribution of hormones. So if you're just overriding that production distribution process and substituting in your own hormones, you're kind of like hijacking it at the, you know what I mean? It would be like if you had two kinds of factories and one of them made, I don't know, wrenches, and the other one made screwdriver, and they're right next to each other, the wrench factory and the screwdriver factory. And then somebody was like, "Hey yo, we work at the screwdriver factory. It's time to make wrenches." So you keep the screwdriver sign on the factory, but then they change all of the internal machinery and workings in the factory to start producing wrenches, not screwdrivers. And then it's like, well, bro, that's still clearly a screwdriver factory, not a wrench factory. Look at the sign on the outside. It's like, yeah, but the internals are all different. I think you can change your sex with the hormones. At least you change enough of the sex markers that you can't say like, oh yeah, that chick who's been on estrogen for 12 years is male. Like that's not accurate in like a medical sense. That doesn't like describe the shit. Dumb question, but do trans people have to take the hormones forever, or does your body eventually produce the correct hormones? The body will not produce the correct hormones until the chromosomes are changed or something else is changed. I think you can I think that there's like a long-term consequence to long-term like androgen suppression, like if you're using androgen blockers, but in terms of like producing estrogen or testosterone, you need to supplement that externally. It probably won't be long before we change that too. I mean, honestly, considering how much work there's been, like how much has been done in the field, you know, eventually they're probably going to find a way. Correct hormones? Yeah, correct. Like if you like wearing skirts, you need estrogen. If you like growing mustaches, you need testosterone or something type shit. Can I get neither? I don't wanna. No, you need sex hormones. Sorry. Long term, there are negative consequences to never going through puberty. You can't, with hormones, change the production of eggs to the production of sperm. Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how many people actually like care about that, to be honest. Like, I'm sure there are lots of trans guys who want to be able to knock people up and trans chicks who want to get pregnant. I'm sure. And you know, people talk about womb transplants or whatever. But I think that like I think that if you could give them a choice, like if you took a trans chick and you were like, which would you rather have? The ability to produce eggs or well, wait, they don't produce eggs. You know what I mean? You are born with the eggs you have, but you know what I mean. To the ability to have eggs, I guess, or that, you know, or your body just produces estrogen on its own forever. And I think most chicks would choose the latter. That's just my guess, though. I don't know that for sure. It might be because like I'm a guy, so I don't really place like a huge value on the idea of getting pregnant. You know, I had Domino's pizza last night, and honestly, I feel like I got maybe the lighter end of the curve with regard to like the getting pregnant, giving birth experience, and you know, I'm satisfied with kind of leaving it at that. Um, I feel like just having the right hormones be produced forever would be better, but yeah, I don't really know. You Domino's the F tier of pizza choices. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that Domino's has been consistently better than Pizza Hut, certainly better than Caesar's. Um, every time I've had it. Papa John's for the win. I do not like Papa John's. Yeah, Domino's did improve their pizza some time ago. I remember this. When I was in school, I remember people being like, Domino's is shit. And then something happened, and people were like, oh, they changed the recipe. It's better now. And since then, it's been better. But if you had your conception of Domino's pizza shaped by an experience that was like 12 years ago, I feel like maybe you need a round two. They learned to put salt in the crust. Makes a difference, yeah. Yeah, it makes dizzy. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's liberating for everyone, right? Like, you know, anti-racism benefits everyone, anti-transphobia or whatever, you know, any medical or social progress in that front. Like there are probably a lot of cisgender women who could benefit substantially from any research done to improve the medical outcomes for trans women. Like, here's a good example. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong on this because I've only heard it through hearsay, but I'm pretty sure that there are a number of cosmetic surgeries traditionally done by women that have gotten more accessible and higher quality in large part because of trans women. Like, facial feminization surgery isn't something only trans women get, right? Like, cis women have also gotten FFS for like age forever, basically. They don't normally get the whole package, but you know, all the individual bits, the reshaping, you know, nose job, brow shape, whatever, like that's not specific to trans women, right? So because there's a larger market for it now, some of the procedures have been improved. That's pretty cool. Yeah, they just don't call it FFS. There's a ton of shit you can do to cis people that's just like obviously gender affirming care that that doesn't get called that. You know, you're getting your brows shaped as a lady or fuck, even like your eyebrows done or whatever. Like, what do you think, you know, getting like your hair epilated or lasered or whatever? Like all this, you know, people get weird about it when it's trans chicks, but it's, you know, pretty across the board. Elon's hair plugs and Trump's hairline transplant. I don't think that counts because you can't really say that hair plugs count as gender affirming care for men. Going bald is a masculine trait. I think that's just a vanity thing. But there are things guys do. Height increasing, anything having to do with like muscles, um, you know, that I think hits the mark. What about the height surgery? I might be short phobic because, okay, I don't have a problem with short guys. I mean, I'm a top anyway, so it doesn't matter to me, right? Like, so okay, you know how for years it was inappropriate to ask a gay couple which one to use the guy and which one to use the girl? All gay couples now just openly say which one's the guy and which one's the girl. They just say, I'm the top, I'm the bottom. Anyway, I'm the top, so I don't really care if the guy is shorter than me. That being said, I feel like it would be a huge aura loss if I was with anybody and they were like, yeah, I went to China and got my legs lengthened. You know what I mean? Like I got 5 inches taller because they broke my legs and reset it or something. I feel like I would feel weird about that. I'm not sure why. It's just like bias. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Being short isn't unattractive. Being insecure about it is. Well, unfortunately, for a lot of straight guys, like women can be pretty horrible about guys' height. Like straight women, you know, to be fair. It's not as much an issue with like any other partnering of people, but when you're talking straight girls and straight guys, the women can be pretty awful about short guys. You know, let's not pretend, okay? It's an issue. Yeah, but so can men with anything about women's appearance. Sure, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, like, let's acknowledge that this is a pretty big one, you know? I think that the height privilege on the guys actually might overcome in terms of severity or maybe like height disprivilege, whatever. A lot of the shit women have to put up with. The height's a big one for guys. Totally genetic too. I mean, you know, it's, I guess if you eat good when you're a kid or whatever, that probably helps, but I'm trans, but before I transitioned, being a short boy was legitimately almost worse than my gender dysphoria. Yeesh. Thank God I'm 6'5", 7% body fat, 182 pounds, 8.2 inches, single vein on the top, uncut type shit. Is height such a factor for US women? I don't think it's that big of a deal here. I think it might actually be worse in the United States. Maybe because of like basketball. Maybe it's because like I have no idea. Do we have like more cultural value for height here? Because like really tall people that are in like the Netherlands or whatever, right? Or like Finland or something. That's only because a lot of guys have no standards, let women off the hook to sleep with them only to insult them afterwards. Lol. Okay, listen, okay? I participate in a lot of anti-male slander, but we need to dial it back a little bit here, okay? There are lots of women who have no standards and then bitch about the guys they let nut in them, okay? To be fair here, okay? We're not talking about like rape culture or patriarchy or whatever. We're just talking about like people being catty bitches to each other, which I think is a much more even playing field. What is it with trans women I've been with being obsessed that I'm uncut? Because they can like chew on it or something. I don't fucking know. How would I know? I'm not uncut. I'm American. I never heard the height thing till I got into English-speaking internet, Vaush. It's not as bad in Europe. Okay, in America, the height thing is massive. I'm not saying you can't pole if you're a short guy. I'm just saying that it is like a huge thing over here in America. Yeah, I don't know. Some men like to pretend they don't care what women look like, and then will proceed to point out everything they find ugly about them. Why are we, what's with all the man hate in chat? What the fuck? All I'm doing is saying, like, women can be awful about guys' heights. Like, 50 people are like, okay, but listen, like, men are devil spawn, so they do deserve it. Which, listen, okay, look, you know whose stream you're on, okay? We like to engage in a little bit of, you know, toxic misandry now and again. I'm just saying. As a sort of tall dude, I'd love to be shorter. You are either virtue signaling or in the closet. We have a very ethnically diverse population, so we have lots of genetically short lineages mixed in with genetically tall lineages. There probably is some truth to that. There probably is some truth to that, yeah. Just it's a very like lot of immigration to this country. You've got a lot of variance. If you're in Los Angeles, man, the height difference between the Mexican immigrants and the non-Mexican immigrants is so big, it's crazy. I don't know if it's a nutrition thing, because I don't think Mexicans are, like, by default super, super short or whatever, but, like, you can, if you are in, like, a mall or any other well-to-do area, everyone there is, like, 5'10", and if you are on the bus, everyone there is, like, 4'9". It's fucking crazy. I think it has to be a nutrition thing, because a lot of these guys are definitely undocumented, or the children of undocumented, or just living in circumstances that aren't that different from undocumented people. I think it has something to do with Mayan ancestry. It could also be that, to an extent, yeah. Do you think that when the conquistadors landed and met with the Aztecs were all like 4 feet tall or something? Like, we have paintings of their meeting, but we don't know. Maybe that's why Tenochtitlan fell. The conquistadors were also short. That is also a really good point. Basically, everyone back then was short. So, like, you paint these, like, two statuesque men meeting and shaking hands, and they're both 5'2". Being tall sucks already. Okay, I know I have a lot of trans people, trans women, I guess, specifically in my chat, but this is ridiculous, okay? You don't need to broadcast like this. I'm trying to find that one painting. Where's that one painting of them shaking hands? Fuck, I can't find it. Whatever. Can we do some segments? Sure, can you upgrade your tier 2 sub to a tier 3 sub or higher? Watch it, Max 5 Lotus. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yeah, I think this is what I was thinking of right here. Isn't it crazy that we know for a fact that both of these guys are 4 feet tall? Like, if you went back in time, you know, people make fun of you because they're like, you're saying, oh, I would show them computer. And then you would go back in time and you'd be like, this is computer. And they'd be like, how does it work? And you'd say, I don't know. But your real advantage wouldn't be computer. Your real advantage would be like your lack of nutrient deficiencies. You could suplex all of them. It's kind of like how even a moderately talented athlete today could probably beat the fuck out of an athlete 200 years ago, right? Because, like, the world records on basically every Olympic sport have been skyrocketing over the past century, and a lot of that is technique, but a lot of that is also just, like, our bodies are better than they used to be, you know? Medieval peasants almost certainly had better teeth. I do not know if I believe that. I left stream and went and got a Domino's along with some other things, and damn, Vaush is right, they taste better now. Happy to help.